بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم جميعا. بداية أود الترحيب بكم جميعا في هذه الجلسة لطرح بعض المعلومات عن أداء البنك خلال النصف السنة في 2025، نصف السنة الأولى، والنقاش وأخذ أسئلتكم والإجابة عليها إن شاء الله. كذلك أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لبورصة مسقط لإتاحة هذه الفرصة لنا لأن نكون معكم في هذا اليوم. اليوم معي من الإدارة التنفيذية في بنك مسقط أنا طبعا وليد الحشار، الرئيس التنفيذي للبنك، ومعي الأخ أحمد البلوشي، نائب رئيس التنفيذي للأعمال المصرفية، الرئيس للمالية والأعمال الاستثمارية، وكذلك الأخت شيخ الفارسي، نائبة الرئيس التنفيذي للعمليات. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Firstly, I also want to thank MSX for providing us this opportunity to be interacting with you today and talk about our results for the first half year of 2025. I have with me here today, myself, I am Walid Al-Hashar, I'm the CEO of the bank. I have with me Ahmed Al-Bulushi, Deputy CEO Banking, Ganesh, our Deputy CEO Finance and Investment Banking, and Sheikh Al-Farsi, Deputy CEO of Operations. First, I think it's just the regular disclaimer that we have. Just presentation contains different statements relating to Bank Muscat and has been prepared based on publicly available information. And as usual, it's not an invitation to invest or a recommendation to invest, but more of a discussion session between us. في البداية طبعا تم إعداد هذا العرض المرئي من قبل بنك مسقط بناء على معلومات متاحة للجمهور ومنشورة مسبقا، وهو للنقاش وتبادل المعلومات فقط، ولا يعتبر دعوة أو تشجيع للاستثمار في البنك. In terms of today's outline, I will be going through the operating environment of Oman and the economy, the banking sector, and then I will focus in on Bank Muscat strategy and business line, and then I will move to the key financial highlights for the 6 months ending in June 2025. بالنسبة لاستعراض محتويات هذا العرض المرئي، ستكون نستعرض في البداية بيئة العمل والاقتصاد بشكل عام. كذلك سأتطرق إن شاء الله للقطاع المصرفي في السلطنة والمؤشرات فيه، وبعد ذلك إن شاء الله بدخل على استراتيجية بنك مسقط والأنشطة الأساسية فيه، وسأتطرق بعدها إلى أبرز النتائج المالية إن شاء الله للسنة المنتهية في 30 يونيو 2025 أو نصف السنة المنتهية في ذلك. In terms of the operating environment, the economic activity, in fact, had continued to expand in 2025, with the real GDP growing by about 2.5% and nominal GDP by 4.7% in the first quarter of 2025. This was primarily due to a higher contribution from the non-hydrocarbon sector. According to the IMF, as of June 2025, the Oman economy is set to expand even at a faster pace over the medium term. This expected performance is mainly driven by strong non-hydrocarbon growth and also underpinned by ongoing investments in logistics, manufacturing, renewable energies, and tourism. Moreover, I think also the favorable oil prices and increasing the non-oil contributions, the public finance management efforts that were done, and the declining debt levels have all contributed to Oman's fiscal and external position. As you have seen before, and this continues, the government has taken quite a few steps to improve the business environment, allocating budgets to strategic projects, supporting SMEs, accelerating investments in renewable energies and green hydrogen. Also importantly, inflation has remained subdued, averaging by about 0.6% between January to May 2025. In July 2025, Moody's has upgraded Oman's sovereign rating to investment grade, and this is obviously a reflection on the stronger debt metrics and the greater resilience to the economic shocks that we have seen in the past few years. Public debt management initiatives have contributed to lower debt to GDP ratio. Generally, also, the government anticipates about 13% reduction in debt servicing costs this year, which is obviously complementing the emphasis of Oman's leadership efforts in preserving financial stability and fiscal sustainability. There were also plans announced last year to expand Oman's LNG production capacity by a third by 2030, which could further contribute to the economy positively. The 2025 budget also continues to focus on strategic developments and social sector spending. And as you already know, under Vision 2040, Oman is progressing with many initiatives, and all are aimed at fostering the public and private sector and sustainable growth, as well as stability and fiscal prudence, which all actually positions Oman well amid any of these, recent and previous global macro economic volatilities. هذه الشريحة تتناول الاقتصاد بشكل عام، حيث واصل الاقتصاد العماني النمو في الربع الأول من 2025. الناتج المحلي الإجمالي شهد نمو بنسبة تقريبا 2.5%. كذلك بلغ الناتج المحلي الإجمالي بالأسعار الجارية 4.7%. هذا النمو مدفوع بشكل أساسي من زيادة مساهمة قطاع الأنشطة غير الهيدروكربونية. كذلك وفقا لصندوق النقد الدولي، من المتوقع إن شاء الله أن يشهد الاقتصاد العماني نموا أسرع على المدى المتوسط اعتبارا من يونيو 2025، وهذا كله يرجع الحمد لله إلى انتعاش الأنشطة الهيدروكربونية، وإضافة إلى الدعم من الاستثمارات المستمرة في قطاع اللوجستيات والصناعات التحويلية والطاقة المتجددة والسياحة وغيرها من القطاعات. كذلك ساهمت أسعار النفط وزيادة مساهمة الأنشطة غير الهيدروكربونية والجهود المبذولة من جانب الإدارة للمالية العامة في السلطنة، والانخفاض الملحوظ خلال السنوات الماضية في مستويات الدين العام، إلى تعزيز الوضع المالي والاقتصادي للبلاد. وهذا كذلك يشمل الجهود المبذولة لتحسين بيئة الأعمال من خلال مواصلة تنفيذ مشاريع استراتيجية ودعم المؤسسات الصغيرة والمتوسطة وتسريع الاستثمارات في الطاقة المتجددة والهيدروجين الأخضر. متوسط التضخم العام في الاقتصاد ظل منخفض الحمد لله وتحت السيطرة عند نسبة 0.6% خلال الفترة من يناير إلى مايو 2025. وفي شهر يوليو 2025 قامت وكالة موديز برفع التصنيف الائتماني للسلطنة إلى درجة الاستثمار BAA3، مما يعكس تحسن مؤشرات نسبة الدين العام والقدرة على مواجهة التقلبات العامة في السوق والاقتصاديات العالمية. وبشكل عام تتوقع الحكومة انخفاضا بنسبة تقريبا 13% في تكلفة الديون هذا العام، وذلك للحفاظ على الاستقرار المالي، الاستدامة المالية التي تركز على تحقيقها. الخطط اللي تم الإعلان عنها العام الماضي لزيادة قدرة إنتاج الغاز الطبيعي المسال في عمان بنسبة الثلث بحلول عام 2030 نعتقد إن شاء الله أنها تساهم في تقليل الاعتماد على النفط وكذلك تعزيز الاقتصاد. وجدير بالذكر كذلك أن الميزانية عام 2025 تركز على التنمية الاستراتيجية إلى جانب الإنفاق في القطاع الاجتماعي، وذلك طبعا استرشادا برؤية عمان 2040. والحكومة ما زالت تنفذ مجموعة واسعة من المبادرات، وذلك لتعزيز النمو المستدام في القطاعين العام والخاص. والاستقرار والوضع المالي أدى إلى ترسيخ مكانة السلطنة في ظل تقلبات اقتصادية وجيوسياسية عالمية كثيرة، سواء في هذه السنة أو السنوات التي قبلها. In terms of the banking sector overview, it has continued to grow steadily and remains a pillar of support to the national economy. In 2025, the Oman Bank continued to show growth, show strong fundamentals and steady momentum, which is reflecting broader economic recovery and performance. The growth in private sector credit, healthy deposit inflows, expanding also some of the Islamic finance activities. It shows the sector's depth and diversity. And as you have seen, banks have remained well capitalized, sound asset quality metrics, and ample liquidity. And this, of course, is all supported by quite effective regulatory supervision. And as everybody knows, in recent years, Oman's banks have always invested significantly in technology and digitization, while also continuing to expand their physical footprint. Between January to May 25, the sectoral credit reached above 33 billion, i.e. about 8% year-on-year growth. Deposits increased by also a little over 32 billion, which is also almost 8% over the previous year. Islamic finance and deposits grew by 12.3% and 16.6% respectively, and they are contributing to 21% of the sector. And the budget of 2025, which is also driven by the elevated oil prices, have an expansionary focus and a strong momentum. All these factors we expect are going to support sectoral growth and improving the financial performance of the Omani banks in the near future and the medium term. Banks are also adopting ESG principles and continue to enhance their risk frameworks to align with the international best practices. في هذه الشريحة نتحدث عن القطاع المصرفي العماني، حيث يواصل نموه ودعمه للاقتصاد الوطني في عام 2025، ويؤكد النمو في الائتمان في القطاع الخاص وكذلك النمو في الودائع إلى توسيع وتوسع كذلك النشاط التمويلي الإسلامي على تنوع موارد القطاع. إضافة إلى ذلك طبعا حافظت البنوك على رؤوس أموال جيدة مع جودة أصول قوية وسيولة وفيرة، وكل هذا مدعوم في الوقت ذاته برقابة تنظيمية فعالة. في السنوات الأخيرة كذلك البنوك استثمرت بشكل كبير في التقنيات الحديثة والتحول الرقمي، وحافظت على رؤيتها في التوسع كذلك في شبكة الفروع. ومن شهر يناير إلى مايو 2025 بلغت قيمة المحفظة الائتمانية للبنوك ما يفوق 33 مليار ريال عماني، يعكس نموا بزيادة قدرها تقريبا 8% عن العام السابق. وقيمة الودائع كذلك ارتفعت إلى ما هو أكثر من 32 مليار عماني تقريبا، بزيادة كذلك 7.9% مقارنة بالعام الماضي. والتمويل الإسلامي والودائع حققت زيادة سنوية قدرها 12.3% و16.6% على التوالي بين هذه التمويل والودائع. وبلغت نسبة مساهمة قطاع البنوك والنوافذ الإسلامية في القطاع المصرفي حوالي 21%. ونتوقع استمرار نمو القطاع المصرفي بكل، وتحسن الأداء المالي للبنوك العمانية كذلك في المستقبل القريب. وهذا كله بفضل طبعا ارتفاع أسعار النفط والتركيز على الاستثمارات التوسعية لميزانية عام 2025 والمبادرات المستمرة سواء من الاقتصاد والحكومة أو من البنوك نفسها. والبنوك أيضا تتبنى معايير الحوكمة الثلاثية ESG، وتعمل دائما على تعزيز أطر المخاطر الخاصة بها لتتماشى مع أفضل الممارسات الدولية. This slide talks about the consistent performance and stability in the banking sector key parameters. Total credit portfolio registered 5% compounded annual growth over the past 5 years. Customer deposits also registered 5.9% compounded growth during the same period. And the top 7 Omans reported 7.7% net profit increase in the first half of 2020. Obviously, looking ahead, the sector is expected to continue mid-single-digit growth, while also needing any short-term pressures on asset quality or liquidity, dual factors that we. Nevertheless, medium-term performance is projected to remain stable and sustainable. The strong fundamental forward-looking regulatory oversight provide us confidence that the sector's long-term growth trajectory is going to be a positive one. هذه الشاشة توضح النمو الجيد للمؤشرات الرئيسية للقطاع المصرفي. محفظة الائتمان عدا السنوات الخمس الماضية سجلت معدل سنوي ارتفاع بمعدل سنوي تقريبا 5%، وهذا على الرغم من التحديات والتقلبات الاقتصادية في الفترة الماضية، وكذلك على الرغم من التحديات التي نتجت عن الجائحة. كذلك تم تسجيل معدل نمو سنوي بنسبة قريبة من 6% في ودائع الزبائن خلال نفس الفترة، وأرباح أكبر 7 بنوك عمانية زادت بنسبة 7.7% خلال النصف الأول عام 2025. كذلك نتوقع إن شاء الله أن يستمر القطاع في النمو بصورة جيدة، مع أن البنوك كلها تحتاج إلى التعامل بشكل استثنائي مع أي ضغوط قصيرة المدى على جودة الأصول أو السيولة الناتجة من العوامل والتقلبات الاقتصادية. ولكن مع ذلك نتوقع أن يظل الأداء مستقرا على المدى المتوسط إن شاء الله. In terms of the bank, the bank continues to focus on a strategic frame on 4 pillars, which are customer centricity, market leadership, efficiency, and productivity and innovation. These are all aligned for the purpose of delivering sustainable value for all our stakeholders, and we definitely do continue to leverage our strong branch network, sound financial position, and most importantly, our highly skilled colleagues to improve the outcomes and drive a continuous improvement across the entire front, both financial and operational. And we are always embedding digital transformation and customer experience enhancement, as well as responsible banking practices across our operations. في هذه الشريحة باختصار تعتمد استراتيجية البنك على 4 ركائز أساسية، وهي التركيز على الخدمة والزبائن، الريادة في السوق، الكفاءة والإنتاجية، والإبداع. هذه الركائز كلها تهدف إلى ديمومة خدمة الشركاء على نحو أفضل كل يوم، حتى يعني البنك يواصل التركيز على الاستفادة من شبكة فروعه القوية، من مركزه المالي القوي، وأهم من كل هذا كفاءة موارد البشرية لتقديم أفضل قيمة ممكنة، والعمل باستمرار طبعا على التحسين والتطوير. ونحرص على تنفيذ مبادرات التحول الرقمي وتعزيز تجربة الزبائن والممارسات المصرفية المسؤولة دائما في عملياتنا. In terms of Bank Muscat business line, the bank operates across multiple business lines, whether it's in corporate banking, personal and retail banking, wholesale banking, and Islamic banking. And all of these verticals have performed quite well and have consistently contributed to earnings performance. The corporate banking and personal banking and wholesale banking contributed around 23% to 33% of the bank's net profit during the first half of 2025. Islamic banking contributed about 4 to 5%, while international operations added 8% to our bottom line. Islamic banking continues to have the highest market share in terms of total assets in Oman, and has shown quite healthy growth since its inception. The loan portfolio, as you can see from the pie charts, continues to be well diversified. Deposits are largely retail driven and also quite diversified, both in terms of retail, government deposits, and private sector deposits. هذه الشريحة تعرض نظرة عامة على الأنشطة المتنوعة التي يعني يمارسها البنك. كما تعلمون يقدم البنك مجموعة متكاملة من الخدمات المصرفية، بما في ذلك خدمات الشركات، خدمات الأفراد، أعمال المصرفية المتخصصة، خدمات الصيرفة الإسلامية، وكل هذه الأنشطة حققت أداء جيد خلال السنوات الماضية وكذلك خلال النصف السنة الماضية. ساهمت الخدمات المصرفية للشركات والخدمات المصرفية للأفراد والأعمال المصرفية المتخصصة بنسبة تتراوح بين 23% إلى 33% من إجمالي أرباح البنك في النصف الأول من عام 2025. وساهمت خدمات الصيرفة الإسلامية بنسبة تتراوح بين 4 إلى 5% من إجمالي الأرباح. وكذلك عمليات البنك الدولية ساهمت بنسبة تقريبا 8% من صافي الأرباح. ولا تزال المصرفية الإسلامية تتمتع بأعلى حصة سوقية من حيث إجمالي الأصول في السلطنة، والحمد لله أظهرت نمو جيد منذ إنشائها. وكما ترون على يمين الشريحة، البنك حافظ على محفظة قروض متنوعة وأداء قوي لمحفظة الودائع كذلك ومتنوع، مدعوم بودائع أفراد، ودائع قطاع حكومي، ودائع القطاع الخاص وغيرها. Now I will move on to our financial highlights for the 6 months ended June 30, 2025. It has been quite a good 6 months. As you can see, the bank's top line performance was strong despite the continuing global and regional challenges. Bank's net profit increased by 12.2% compared to the first half of 2024. This was mainly driven by robust business growth as well as prudent credit cost management. The net interest income rose by 8.3% due to increase in our business volumes, as well as our active balance sheet and liquidity management and optimization. Our agile approach in balance sheet management, as well as the funding helped us maintain a healthy net interest income during this period. The non-funded income has also improved by 8.7% during the first half, and that's also due to growth across all the business lines and higher investment income. And during the period, operating expenses also by 5.8%, and that's a reflection of the business activities as well as the infrastructure investments done by the bank. You'll see that the loan portfolio, and that's on quite a large base, grew by 5.1% year on year, and deposit portfolio also on a large base showed a growth of 3.3% during the first half. In terms of asset quality, total provisions were about 1.7 times of our non-performing loans, reflecting strong asset quality buffers and metrics maintained by the bank. This consistent operational execution, robust and balanced growth income streams actually provide us a strong foundation for sustaining our profitability moving forward. تعرض هذه الشريحة الأداء المالي للبنك خلال النصف الأول من عام 2025. كما تلاحظون كان الأداء الكلي للبنك قويا على الرغم من التحديات العالمية والإقليمية المستمرة سواء كانت في هذه السنة أو السنوات التي قبلها. ارتفع صافي الأرباح بنسبة 12.2% مقارنة بالنصف الأول من 2024، وذلك بسبب نمو جيد للأعمال وكذلك الإدارة المستمرة لتكلفة الائتمان. وارتفع صافي دخل الفوائد بنسبة 8.3%، وهذا كذلك يعود إلى زيادة حجم الأعمال، تحسن في الميزانية، وكذلك ساهم النهج المرن الذي يتبعه البنك في إدارة الميزانية والنشاطات التمويلية على تحقيق نمو جيد في صافي إيرادات الفوائد خلال هذه الفترة. وكذلك تحسنت الإيرادات وارتفعت الإيرادات من العمليات غير الممولة بنسبة 8.7% خلال النصف الأول. كذلك ذلك يعود للنمو عبر جميع قطاعات الأعمال معنا وزيادة الدخل من الاستثمارات. من جهة أخرى المصاريف التشغيلية زادت بنسبة 5.8% تقريبا، وهذا كذلك نظرا لنمو الأعمال وتوسعنا في الاستثمار في البنية التحتية والتكنولوجيا التي يقوم بها البنك. محفظة القروض سجلت نمو بنسبة 5.1% مقارنة بالعام السابق، وكذلك محفظة الودائع نمو بنسبة 3.3%. أما من ناحية جودة الأصول بلغ إجمالي المخصصات ما يعادل 1.7 مرات ضعف القروض المتعثرة للبنك، وهذا طبعا يعكس مستويات جودة الأصول التي يحافظ عليها البنك. هذا كله يعني التنفيذ التشغيلي والنمو المتوازن الجيد لمصادر الدخل يوفر لنا أساس قوي لاستدامة هذه الأرباح إن شاء الله. This slide highlights the operating trends over the last 5 years. As you can see, net interest margins have remained stable and has shown consistent improvement. The bank has been able to manage the yield and funding costs to maintain NIMs, and that's through the efficient balance sheet and liquidity management, as well as deploying agile hedging strategies. And you'll see that the bank fee-based income has held consistently around 28 to 32% of total income throughout this period. Cost to income ratio further improved to 37.5% in the first half versus 38.6% in December 24. The ROE of the bank has also shown quite a good improvement from the lower levels of 10% in 2021 to reach 13.4% in the first half of 2025. Bank's ROA also continued a healthy momentum and reached 1.79% the highest when compared to levels seen in the last 5 years after reaching a low of 1.32 in 2020. And this trajectory highlights the bank's operational resilience, profitability, and disciplined cost management. هذه الشريحة تعرض لمحة سريعة عن الأداء التشغيلي للبنك خلال السنوات الخمسة الماضية. كما تلاحظون حافظ البنك على استقرار صافي هامش الفائدة ومعدلات تحسن ثابتة فيه، وتمكن البنك من إدارة العوائد وتكلفة التمويل للحفاظ على هذا الاستقرار، وذلك من خلال الإدارة الفعالة للميزانية والسيولة وتطبيق استراتيجيات تحوط مرنة في السيولة. كما استقرت إيرادات البنك من الرسوم عند نسبة تتراوح بين 28 إلى 32% من إجمالي الإيرادات خلال هذه الفترة، وانخفضت نسبة التكلفة إلى الدخل لتصل إلى 37.5% خلال النصف الأول من عام 2025 مقارنة ب 38.6% في العام السابق. كذلك العائد على حقوق الملكية يعني شهد تحسن ملحوظ، ارتفعت من مستوياته المنخفضة عند 10% في عام 2021 ليصل إلى 13.4% في النصف الأول من عام 2025. وهذا كذلك العائد على الأصول حقق نمو إيجابي ليصل إلى 1.8%، وهو أعلى مستوى خلال السنوات الخمسة الأخيرة الماضية. In terms of asset quality, this slide also provides a trend of our asset quality performance. As you can see, the bank has been able to maintain a stable NPL ratio between 3 to 4% over the past 5 years. Our provision coverage ratio also remains strong between 145% to 170%, reflecting the bank's prudent approach. And as I mentioned earlier, the bank's loan portfolio is well diversified across different economic sectors and industries within the country. Gross loans portfolio increased 4.3% since December and 4.4% growth in 2024. And we continue our prudent credit policy to ensure stable performance. Actually, maintaining robust asset quality metrics remains a core part of the bank's strategy to ensure that the credit resilience remains during the different economic cycles. هذه الشريحة تعرض نبذة حول أداء جودة الأصول. كما ترون طبعا تمكن البنك من الحفاظ على نسبة القروض المتعثرة بين 3% إلى 4% على مدار السنوات الخمس الماضية، ولا يزال معدل التغطية في مستوى جيد حيث يتراوح بين 145% إلى 170%، وهو يعكس السياسات الحصيفة التي يتبعها البنك. وكما ذكرنا سابقا فإن محفظة قروض البنك تتميز بالتنوع في مختلف القطاعات الاقتصادية في السلطنة. البنك تمكن من تحقيق نمو بنسبة 4.3% من شهر ديسمبر إلى يونيو 2025 في إجمالي محفظة القروض، وتسجيل كذلك نمو 4.4% في العام نفسه. ويواصل البنك اتباع سياسات مدروسة فيما يتعلق بالمخصصات والائتمان لضمان الأداء المستقر له. والحفاظ على معايير جودة الأصول هو جزء أساسي وركيزة أساسية لنا من استراتيجيتنا، وذلك للمحافظة على جودة الائتمان في الفترات القادمة. In this slide, we talk about funding and liquidity. The bank maintains, as you can see, and as has been our trend in the past, a well-balanced funding mix. Around 70 to 73% is from customer deposits. The balance is supplemented by interbank deposits and capital. We continue to hold high-quality liquid assets. And as I mentioned earlier, the bank's capital position is one of the highest among its Omani peers and one of the strongest amongst its GCC peers as well. The capital position is also largely driven by core equity capital, along with retained profits after a good history of paying healthy dividends over the last many years. في هذه الشريحة سنستعرض وضع التمويل والسيولة لدى البنك. البنك يحافظ على مزيج متوازن للتمويل والسيولة. حوالي 73% يأتي من ودائع الزبائن، والباقي يأتي من عمليات الاقتراض بين البنوك ورأس المال. ولذلك يستمر البنك في الحفاظ على أصول سيولة عالية الجودة عند مستويات جيدة. وكما ذكرنا سابقا، يعتبر المركز رأس المال للبنك من أعلى المراكز بين أقرانه في السلطنة، وأحد أقوى المراكز بين أقرانه في دول مجلس التعاون الخليجي أيضا. والمركز رأس المالي للبنك يعتمد إلى حد كبير على رأس المال الأساسي لحقوق الملكية، إلى جانب الأرباح المحتجزة بعد التوزيع، أرباح مجزية وتاريخ توزيع أرباح جيدة على مدى السنوات العديدة الماضية. إلى هنا وصلت إلى نهاية الاستعراض، وسنستقبل إن شاء الله أسئلتكم بعد لحظات. I have reached my final stage, and we can take your questions after this. Please raise your hand if you can. Thank you. We start with Mana. Yeah, that's the sequence. Okay. Hi, Mana. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this call. I have just a few questions, if I can continue.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I have a question regarding the asset yield. It has been declining in the first and the second quarters.
What? I'm sorry?
Hello?
Asset yield, okay.
Asset yield, yeah. So we noticed that it's been declining in the first and the second quarter. It has reached 5.3. And the cost of funds are also going up, so effectively tightening the spreads. So where do you see the spreads and the margin by the end of the year?
Anna, thank you for that question. This is Ganesh here. Asset yield going down in line with the Fed rate changes happening over the last 1 year, and also the moderation in the cost of funding in Oman market. But our focus is on the net interest margin, which has improved over the last 1 year. We are hovering around 2.7, 2.76 level. So the function of market interest rate will impact both yield and the cost in a similar direction. So if you look at the last 5 years, our ability to manage the margins at the similar level, about 2.6 to 2.7, that shows our dynamic activity on balance sheet management. So we don't expect any material changes on the margins going forward, in spite of Fed rate cuts expected.
Okay, you had another question, Mana?
Yes. Thank you for the answer. The ROE has also improved to 13.4%. So what would be the bank's long-term target for ROE?
This is a function of both the profitability and capital base. I think the profits level have grown, and also capital adequacy has moderated. As a result, it has reached 13.4%. I think our medium-term outlook is between 13 to 14 range. If there are further optimization, can improve beyond 14.
Okay. So what is the outlook for loan demand for the second half of 2025? And where do you see this growth, incremental growth coming from?
We expect to be sustaining this single mid-digit growth, we hope. I don't want to be giving many forward-looking statements, but single mid-digit. And the growth is coming from a number of different areas. In terms of loan demand, retail, for example, the young demography, new job creations, the salaries.
Hello?
Lending to public sector projects and petroleum-related ventures. Mid to large corporates are also investing in new and ongoing projects. And so we expect to be taking a share of business needs, renewable projects, green hydrogen, solar, related infrastructure, logistics. You've seen the Ittihad Rail and road network upgrade, real estate, Sultan Haytham's city, and other satellite towns around the country, actually, and tourism-related infrastructure development. A number of different areas, and all these projects are either on the planning stage or in terms of the financial, some of them are already on the financial closure stage. Our sector is also showing growth in terms of power supply and the need for new power capacity. So there are a number of areas that we expect growth to be coming from.
Understood. Regarding the NPL ratio, also, where do you expect the ratio to trend for the remainder of the year?
It's we have been showing this. We've been maintaining it at this level between 3 to 4%, and we do not have any reason to see it moving. Anything above that.
Okay. Just want to know your thoughts.
I will give you the last question, Mana,
Yes,
because I have to move to others. This is your...
Yes,
okay.
I understand. Thank you. I just want to understand your thoughts on this. Like, do you expect the competition in the Oman banking sector to put pressure on the lending standards?
The lending standards?
Yes.
Well, we've been navigating through competition myself for the last 28 years in banking. So, and I know this bank and I know the culture here. So I will answer it in two ways. I don't think, because the regulator is quite strong. So lending standards, I don't think are going to be a factor of deterioration due to competition. But I think margins may be impacted, and that will depend on those individual banks' cost of funds and how they manage their liquidity. And we believe that we are quite well positioned as a bank to actually take advantage of how we manage our cost of funds and therefore be able to compete on different lending opportunities. Okay, Sumaya. Sumaya, you are on mute if you are trying to.
مساك الله بالخير شيخ وليد.
مرحبا سمية, كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله. Good afternoon to you and to Ganesh and the Bank Muscat management. So thank you for the presentation. I'll ask my questions in English. There was a question in the chat which I shared the same. So I'm going to start with that on the liquidity. And even throughout the presentation, we've noticed that the liquid assets have dropped to 17%. So with LDR at 109%, sharing the same question as Shahrukh, what are your plans for increasing your liquid assets or term funding? And then where do you see deposit growth coming from in the second half, especially, and going forward? So that is my first question. And my second question is regarding just generally on the corporate lending side. There are other banks that are more corporate focused in the competition, but obviously Bank Muscat still stands well above. Are you focusing on, you've mentioned a number of projects now, but are you focusing on certain sectors? And to what extent will you be increasing your exposure to the mid corporates and the SMEs in that regard?
Okay. So is there a third question or you want to?
Oh, I always have a lot of questions, but we can go with those two questions.
No, give me the third one.
Third one is regarding fee income. Fee income has been growing. And last time we've spoken as well, there was a mention in, the cap on retail lending. Some fees that were imposed by the CBO have been removed. So if you could just share more insight into that, and where do you see the fee income generation coming from? Is it just purely from organic lending, or is there other avenues of fee income, that you're seeing?
Take the first one. I'll take the first.
Sure. Thank you, Subaya. I'll go with the liquidity first and then about other two. On the liquid assets, yes, these are particular point in time ratios. But if you see trend this in the liquid assets stock, that was more structural. If you look at our deposit growth, we focused on CASA growth. We didn't grow on term deposits during the first 6 months of even year-on-year comparison. That is to enhance the margin perspective. But from a total liquid assets positioning, we are quite well liquid. There is no declining trend to mobilize funding. Depending on the asset growth in the second half, we will focus on funding, which will include customer deposits and interbank, as well as any bond issuances. So overall, on liquidity, we are quite comfortable. We don't expect any material change from now.
I will take the question on the corporate lending. We look at it, Sumaya. Yes, we will be focusing on a number of different sectors, and you've seen, our portfolio is quite well diversified. So whether it's in logistics, in tourism, in GREs, in the power sector, in the renewable energy sector, and hydrogen projects. More importantly, you touched on mid to large corporates. That's a part of our strategy and a very clear focus for a particular team within our corporate banking group. And we see, because of the growth in the economic activity in Oman, that there will be good growth in that sector. And some of that has already come into the balance sheet in the first half, and we expect more in the pipeline. And I'm talking about mid to large corporate. We expect more in the pipeline coming as well in the second half. So our growth trajectory is going to, we expect it to continue within the same momentum. In terms of the fee income growing and where it's actually coming from, it's coming from all business lines. If we're talking the retail side, yes, there was an impact on the caps on the fees and so on. But we have been focusing on our organic growth opportunities in the retail side, and we have grown significantly our customer base and retail side, and that's coming mainly from our good strategy on branch locations and sound branch expansion, as well as our digital solutions. So that has helped us bring in a large customer base, and today we are able to monetize on that, and we continue to be monetizing on that larger customer base. So retail has a number of different initiatives to continue the trajectory of the fee-based income. Corporate banking as well. The growth in corporate loans has helped us also get certain fees on that front. Investment banking, our investment activities, our investment books have also yielded good results in that area. So all our business lines have helped us grow our fee-based income.
Perfect. يعطيك العافية شيخ وليد. Thank
Allah
you.
يعافيك. Thank you. Okay, so Shaur, please.
Yes, hi. Thank you for the
Hi.
opportunity. I hope I'm audible.
Your voice is a little low, Shaur. If you don't mind just raising it a bit.
Yes, sir. Is it better now? Okay, how about now? Is it
Now,
okay?
yes, now we can hear you. Good.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, and apologies for the technical issue. So, I'll start my question with the interest rate, your view on net interest margins. As you mentioned that with the expected decrease in interest rates, you expect the yield on advances to go down, but you expect that the bank will, with management, will be able to maintain the net interest margin. Now, my question is that with the decrease in interest rates, obviously your yield on advances and interbank lending income would go down, but what is your view on the yield on your advances? Sorry, so investments and interbank income might go down, but do you expect a decline on the yield on advances as well?
We're going to have to manage. That's our business, is managing the yields and the costs. And so, yes, there could be, due to different factors, whether it's competition or the drop in the different benchmark rates globally, a drop in the yields. But also that will also reflect on our cost of funds in terms of deposits, and which we have been managing quite well. So from that perspective, we believe that we're quite well positioned to manage both, and hence our expectations of the sustainability of the NIMs for the near future.
Right. Let's hope so. So my second question is regarding your deposit number. We have seen a slight decline in the quarter-over-quarter deposits. The bank's book now. I understand that this is a balance sheet number, but do you expect the year number to maintain the mid-single-digit growth rate that you guys are expecting?
For deposits, we manage this quite with an agile posture. We manage it quite well because we need to make sure that through deposit management we manage our NIMs, and therefore the growth numbers in deposits for us is not the function. What the function for us is actually making sure that we have the deposits at the right time for the right deployment. So we're going to continue to manage it agilely. Seen us, for example, in the previous years, in some years we may have dropped overall deposits or even lower single digits growth, but it was intentional because it's very important for us to make sure that the NIMs are well maintained, while also making sure that our liquidity is quite strong and quite robust. And when I talk about deposits, in this particular fashion, I'm talking about term deposits. Now, in terms of CASA, you would note that we have the highest ratio of CASA to overall, we have quite a high ratio of CASA to the overall deposits. That is going to be a continued focus for us, especially on the retail side and savings. And that's why we continue to make sure that we onboard new customers, a major part of our strategy, and making sure that our branches are in the right locations. And where we need to increase branches, we continue to do so. We continue to invest.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. And my final question is regarding your cost to income. We have seen some improvement in your cost to income ratio during the second quarter to close sub 36% from previously ratio of sub 40%. So is this a new norm? Is the bank targeting now this?
Mike, you and my board. You're talking the same language.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thanks.
wishes that. No, listen. It's a function of two things. One, the top line, the bottom line, the top line, and the cost. Yeah. So if the income goes up, then يعني the cost to income ratio drops. What is for sure to يعني the sweet spot is between 38 to 40%, generally speaking. We endeavor to actually keep it at the lower part of that. But then, we do not want to deprive ourselves of the opportunity to invest the right investments that we're going to, in terms of top line. So we continue to watch costs. We continue to make sure that we are quite agile there and make sure that we spend in the right projects. But we're also not going to be, but with maintaining that drive to remain within the 38 to 40% range. Because as you know, investment in technology is important for the future. We focus on that. Investment in footprint of branches and customer acquisition is important, and we focus on that. Investments in efficiency within the organization and operational efficiency, and we continue to do that. So all in all, we're going to definitely on costs, but we're also going to make sure that we invest wisely.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That's all.
You're welcome. Mr. Dan Mikhailov.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my questions, and congratulations on a great set of results. My first question relates to the investment and dividend income. We've seen notable year-on-year increases in both of those revenue streams, and I was wondering if you could provide some commentary around what has been driving. Is that a structural bank getting higher dividend yielding securities in its mix, or on the securities with high cap where you can realize high capital gains, trading securities? That would be really helpful. Question to credit density has been down year to date quite a percentage of low, about 90 now 90. What has been is that a structural trend that as we lending a more decline, or is it doesn't have to need to affect new rules or charges attached? Thank
you. And thank you. In terms of dividend in year, good growth. This reflection in the last 1 year, including the local IPOs and also our investments outside. But the focus is largely on having sustainable income model. It's not any speculative for a period of time. So that's why the reflection is more on the dividend rather than the gain. And this type of an approach will continue to follow. That is from an investment book and a dividend income behavior perspective. In terms of credit risk weight to the total asset, yes, it depends. Function of sector we grow. If let's say retail mortgage grows, it has a lower risk weight, which is 35%. If we do a growth on GRE with the government guarantee, then it has a zero risk weight. So it's a function of the credit growth in a particular quarter or a year, and which has an impact on credit risk in proportion to the total risk-weighted assets. So there is no changes, but it could be transaction-based impact, but it will hover around 95 to 98% of the total asset.
Thank you.
And
hi, good afternoon, Walid and Ganesh. Nice to hear you after a long time.
Thank you.
Three questions from my end. See, just want to understand this counter-cyclical buffer in terms of because the regional started having cyclical starting from six the Oman in terms we are still having this as a zero at this moment. How is this coming up in the any kind of from or missing out few and on that to from the capital perspective? That's my first question. Because I asked this question to lost because the international operations, especially the international banking income has grown, and also the profitable segment has substantially moved up from last year. Any specific reason, or this is also going to be a sustainable trend for the bank in the coming period? Thanks. I think that's it as of now.
Thank you, Sundar. On the counter-cyclical cyclical buffer, I think the Basel III regulations of central bank is very clear. The CCB kicks in only when we have excessive credit growth in the domestic market. The UAE and Saudi markets have seen very excessive credit growth over the last 2-3 years. You're talking about 10 to 20% credit growth happening year on year. As a result, these regulators are introducing. Whereas in Oman, Central Bank of Oman has a framework already in place. If they find excessive credit growth in relation to the GDP growth, the level of CCB will kick in. So I don't think anything expected unless the banking industry go into a double-digit sort of a credit growth. There could be a possibility of CCB kicking in. And in terms of
memorandum accounts and move, this is a regular activity that we do as a bank, and all banks do it. They move all the accounts to different buckets while still continue to focus on collections, so that we make sure that the numbers reflect the reality for the bank in terms of MPAs and so on. So these would be very old accounts that are there, and it's just a cleanup exercise. That's what when we do it on a regular basis, and all banks do it. In terms of international, our branch has and as has been in the past few quarters, have shown quite good performance and continues to contribute quite well. Our associates also are doing quite well, whether it is SICO or a Salam Bank, and our SIP is doing well. So different factors when it comes to international that has helped us move in a positive trajectory. And we expect that to, inshallah, continue also for the future. Right. I don't see any. Who?
Chat. The chat has questions.
There are chat questions? Okay.
For Shahrukh started. Maybe some of the questions have already been answered.
Yeah, whatever has been answered, we move, please.
Yeah.
number 1 to answered.
1 and 2 are answered.
What we see in stage 2 inflows restructuring? Do you expect the quarterly ECL run rate at OMR to hold? And where do you see the gross NPL ratio by year end? We have answered the gross NPL ratio already. In terms of stage 2, I will talk about that a little bit. About 12% of our gross loans in 2022 were restructured. It reduced to 8.5% now. Of course, more than 75% of these have already resumed repayment. The remaining 25% still have their cash flows deferred. Overall, the health of the portfolio is quite satisfactory, and our focus will always continue to be trying to work with our clients, collaborating closely, monitoring their cash flows, and making sure that those are realistic in terms of cycles. Each restructuring is actually tailored to the borrower's business model. So we're quite comfortable and quite confident or quite comfortable when it comes to our perception of these. In terms of the ECL run rate, you have seen it moderating over the last 2 quarters compared to the previous year. And yes, we do expect it to continue to moderate compared to the previous year. But I think one important factor to highlight here when it comes to provisioning. So I answered the short answer, which is yes, we're going to be, that we believe is going to continue the same level of moderation moving forward. But I think it's very important for a large bank like Bank Muscat. It's very important to also see the different dynamics when it comes to its credit portfolio. One, while it is diversified, there are also a number of different clients. The ticket sizes are larger than some of our, some of the other banks in Oman. The credit parameters that are looked at the beginning are very important. That's what we focus on. And these buffers that we create when it comes to ECLs are important for any, God forbid, future shocks that we don't anticipate. But it's important to make sure that we have the right level of provisions moving forward. So that's that answer. In terms of I've finished that. What are the transaction banking payments initiative that can sustain the 28 to 30% non-interest? I've already answered that.
Cost to income also answered.
Cost to income answered. Ahlam. Assalamu alaikum. Islamic financing income rose in the first half of 2025. How does management see growth trends in Islamic banking relative to conventional? Islamic banking growth is, we expect it to continue its momentum. Of course, it will also depend on growth on in the financing side of it, and most importantly, growth in its funding side, the deposit side, and especially retail deposits. Impairment charges contained, referring to the NPA. Does management expect provisioning pressure? No, we don't, but I've already answered that. Is bank targeting a stable dividend payout ratio? Yeah, well, inshallah, we work hard to please all stakeholders of the bank, including, most importantly, our shareholders, and including looking after the dividend payout ratio, but I cannot really project of how stable or otherwise it will be, but we will make our best to have the same story as in our financials, which is sustainability. We will work hard to do that. What percentage of GRE exposure is GRE loans with the government guarantee as the government's balance? This is a bit, it's a client-based question. So I think what matters is that in terms of the risk-weighted assets perspective, it's quite well diversified. I think what Ganesh had mentioned there was just giving an example. But nevertheless, government guarantees are not necessarily a main function of our credit parameters that we look at. Do you wanted to say something?
Either the credit is with a guarantee or not, guarantees assessed differently. So the risk-weighted average is just a technical, I would call it methodologies. But if they don't have a government guarantee, then the assessment in the pricing and credit terms and condition and covenant will be a different.
Okay, I have one final question and one final question verbally, and that because otherwise we have a. So one is from the chat: contribution of wholesale banking, which is corporate finance, asset management, and FI, has witnessed a marginal drop in its share of assets as well as share of profit. Could you kindly explain the reason?
Yeah, I will take that question. It's in proportion. They've grown, but in proportion to how the other businesses have grown. That's the difference. Share of profit is not reduced in the sense, but it's in proportion to the total. So if you see year on year, wholesale banking would have grown.
Final question from Aruna.
Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm sorry I joined a bit late, so I'm probably apologies if I'm asking something that I already answered. So I mean, if I'm to really, I mean, I'm sorry, I have 3 questions really quickly, if I'm to ask. First thing is on loan growth. Loan growth has been very strong in the first half. You expect, I mean, this to slow down in the second half, because I don't think you will expect a similar run rate quarter to quarter. So I just want to understand that. And secondly, on the deposit side, going forward, do you expect deposit growth to support this loan growth? And the third question is on the fee income, fee and commission income, which is on net basis still, I mean, relatively weak.
Relatively what? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
I mean, how do you?
Sorry, I didn't hear it. Relatively what?
No. I mean, it's not as strong as I mean, what is indicated in the loan growth.
Oh, weak. Okay.
Yeah.
It's relatively weak. Okay. Yeah.
So fee and commission income, what is your expectation going forward? Because I know that there are a lot of initiatives that you are taking, especially on the retail side. So I just want to understand how when we can see this reflected in.
I will answer those, but I will answer them again. Loan growth, as we have said, we expect mid-single digit, hopefully, we hope, and we are going to work towards that. And there are a number of projects, as I have explained before. You can probably also see the video of this subsequent to this. Deposit side, yes, we have also talked about that. And like we said, deposit is going to be a function of how we manage our deployment and growth on the other side, and also most importantly, our net interest income and margins. So also that you will find the answer to if you go through the video subsequent to this meeting. In terms of fee income, I've looked at the numbers myself, and in terms of volume, there has been growth. In terms of fee income to total income, it's between about 28 to 30%. So I'm not sure how you characterize it as not strong or weak, but nevertheless, of course, I respect and appreciate your opinion, and therefore I will say this, that it comes from a number of different success that we have been able to achieve in fee income, comes from a number of different initiatives that we have taken. And as you will see the video also, in terms of our retail base and monetizing, growth in our customer numbers and onboarding of new customers, our investment banking side, our loan growth and the associated fees coming from that. So even despite the caps on fees and so on that are there, we're still able to grow our fee-based income. So that's really the answer, but you can find even more elaborate answers in the video, Waruna. Right.
Okay. That's clear. Thank you very much. Yeah. So what I meant to say was that, I mean, it's not that weak. I thought, I mean, given the initiatives, there would be
no problem.
much more to come.
We respect everybody's impression of our performance. So whoever thinks it's strong, we thank them. Whoever thinks it's weak, we also thank them. But truly, so much appreciated. It's fine. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
I take this opportunity to thank all of you for being with us this afternoon. I hope we have been able to shed some light on our performance for the first half. And inshallah, we'll see you after, we'll have another session like this, after the year end or the 2025 results. And I wish to thank MSX for giving us this opportunity. شكرا جزيلا لكم جميعا لأنكم معنا اليوم، وإن شاء الله آمل أن وفينا في الإجابة على أسئلتكم، ونتطلع إن شاء الله إلى أن نقفل الحلقة الجاية من هذه الجلسات في بعد إن شاء الله تقارير 2025 في السنة القادمة إن شاء الله. مع تحياتي وشكري لكم جميعا، وشكري الجزيل لبورصة مسقط على إتاحة هذه الفرصة. في أمان الله.